Pocket, battery pack. Right, okay, I'm gonna go back a wee touch. Just get everybody in the back. Alright guys, it's Freedom Dad here and I'm live from Bangor outside the Marina Hotel. You want to show them that there? So the story behind the Marina Hotel was it's these guys have been here for 2 years. 2 years every Friday outside this hotel. So they brought in what they believe to be fighting AIDS men, all men, and you know what we've seen going on in England and what we see going on in Ireland. You know, because this has been going on in Ireland for a long time. It's just got really worse. It's got really, really bad in Ireland. And so the optics of what we're looking at in Ireland and the optics of what we've seen in England for the last 15 years, it scares us, you know, as parents and grandparents and people at Generation X that don't have long left. You know, there's no two ways about it. A lot of people are afraid, you know what I mean? So guys have been standing here for 2 years to protest against these men coming into the country and then getting housing before local people are able to get housing. So these are all facts, okay? This isn't misinformation, it isn't far right, it isn't racist. It's concerned parents, you know what I mean? And you see there's no flags here. How we look spin around so they can see there's no flags or anything here. It's just a lot of parents getting together. And one of the main things about it all is information, guys. It's getting information about what's going on in each area because, you know, there's nothing going out, you know. I'll get a wee chat with some of the boys and they can tell you some of the things that are going on, what they're hearing anyway, how the media are addressing things and how they're just being silent, you know what I mean? But hope you're all good, all my guys. Been non-stop, so I have non-stop. We've got a legal guy down. I'm going to get a wee chat with Jim as well for you because we've been talking a lot about that with Glenn. You know, so I want to make sure you see everything, you know what I mean? When I'm talking about Glenn, I know a lot of people, we got a lot of hate for that because, you know, because of his past, because he'd been done for manslaughter. And unfortunately, a Catholic lost his life at an intersection during a riot, more or less, you know what I mean? And, you know, one of the reasons of bringing Glenn to the platform was to try and highlight the dangers of these intersections, even today, where I'm seeing video near enough every day of young men running at each other from different sides of different divides, you know, and we don't want anything like that happening. We don't want a Protestant losing his life. We don't want a Catholic losing his life. You know, these things, when Glenn got involved with this stuff, it was way back when it was really bad, you know what I mean, guys? Like I have explained that, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm just trying to bring you everything that comes with the videos that I'm doing, try and keep it real. And you know, like I say, there's loads of stuff going on, but there's loads of people covering it, you know what I mean? I want to say also a thank you to Dino Bean. Absolutely amazing video. He done a call out. I would have picked a better video than that myself, you know what I mean? But hey ho, you know what I mean? Respect to the guy, you know what I mean? Shouting out small YouTube channels. So I will say as well, Dino Bean's new channel is Dino Bean Clips. If you are interested in Dino Bean and his black humour and the way he does stuff, it is different than anybody else. That's, you know, he's like Marmite, you know what I mean? Yeah, you like him or you don't like him. But the thing is, there's nobody else like him, and you know, it's just one of them things, you know. I like him. I like his humour. I like the way he brings his content, and it's quite relevant. And he covers a lot of aspects of what we see happening, coming at a different angle. You know what I mean? And it's mainly an angle that most people won't go at. You know what I mean? So hats off to him for having the granolas to do what he's doing and to keep everything relevant that's going on in England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and the Republic, you know. So it's good to always give any YouTubers out there that are getting involved in not just England, but they're paying attention to what's going on in Ireland, in Northern Ireland. That's what it's about. Respect these guys, you know what I mean? We should all be doing that. That's why I do the Irish thing as well. Even though I'm a Protestant ex-loyalist prisoner from Northern Ireland, I still got a lot of love for Ireland. I still do not want their children and their women being harmed, and Freedom Dad will do everything he can to help them men and women out over there. Difficult as it is, you know what I mean? But this is what it's about. All concerned parents, Protestants and Catholics, you know what I mean? There's Protestants and Catholics here. We don't even know who's who, you know, half the time. We really don't. Nobody cares, you know what I mean? But we've got Northern Ireland disgruntled here. We'll see if we can get a chat. NI disgruntled. Let's get a chat with him. Stephen.
Yes, certainly. Charles, take me a second.
Two sec. So,
How's it
how you doing, mate?
I'm
So,
okay,
tell
thanks.
us, what's your channel about, and how long have you been doing it?
Well, my name's Steve. My TikTok channel is known as the NI Disgruntled One. I started it up just over a year ago, and basically I was getting a bit fed up with Facebook. It wasn't really the algorithms and the censorship was doing my head in, so I thought I would go over to another communist social site like TikTok and give it a go. So basically, a year later, many people will know my face. Will know that I was Northern Ireland's leading conspiracy theorist, even though the papers called me something else. So I'd basically...
But hold on, all them conspiracy theories are coming true, you can tick them all off, But I remember seeing you standing outside, was a storm out and places like, what was all that about?
Well, that was the NI Health Bill, when they were trying to change the NI Health Bill to basically bring in more executive powers. It just would have ended our health industry, which is going to end anyway.
Yeah.
But it all
away freedoms as well.
It's more to take away our freedoms, but it's more to impose themselves, to keep on playing that they can tell us what to do.
Yeah.
These people rely on us believing in their authority, and that's the only thing that gives them any power, folks. For me, that protest at Stormont was more of a way of trying to get people motivated as ways to do things. For 6 days,
Yeah.
I stood at Stormont every day. I had my long wheelbase transit van filled with placards and banners,
and in the rain and as well.
in the rain as well. And to be honest, there was very few people that came to join me, which kind of disappointed me. But it didn't stop me. I kept going on and moving forward.
But saying that, but the disappointing bit, I was able to see you in Scotland.
Yeah, well, my videos do travel far and wide, all up and down this island and across over in England, Scotland and Wales too. I've had maybe a different perspective on ways out of this scenario that we've been put in, that involve more lawful ways forward based on the Constitution. We all need to understand that this legal system is all getting based on civil matters.
Yep.
They're trying to take away the idea of common law, foundations of law, obviously come down from above.
Yep.
And they want to change it into their man-made way of thinking, which is, it's a one-world government. The globalists have been at this for 100 years. We haven't lived in a democracy for 100 years. We live in what I call a hypocrisy.
Yep.
When you have men standing claiming to represent us, when they do the exact opposite and represent those with the money, that's treason to me.
Yeah.
That's treason.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, mate, I have said that over and over again, and they're the words that I use quite comfortable as well, because we've got the receipts. It's not like we're just standing here hating the government and all that. We've got the receipts. He's done the research. He's got the facts. So we're standing outside the Marina Court Hotel. What brings you down here, mate? Why have you come down to support the guys that have been doing this for the last 2 years?
No, for years I've always dipped to protests up and down this island. I've supported most protests that go against any unethical moves by our government, and this is clearly an unethical move. They haven't given us time to assimilate ourselves, and I say that I mean the Protestant and Catholic community, when they have started imposing a third world culture upon us. Not only is it being forced upon us, but we are being made the cost-outs in our own society, in our own country. I'm proud to say I was born and raised in Northern Ireland. This is a geographical landmark that I know I was born and raised on. Be a part of this all-Ireland island, whatever way you want to regard it. I don't see this as a political movement no more. This is a movement for the people to come together. We all have a common cause here.
Can I just jump, just as you're saying, so this is Northern Ireland, we've had the conflict for so long and all the rest of it, we've been at peace for a good while, but we still have loads of the walls and divides. I think there's more peace walls up now than there was when the Troubles were here. So what's your feeling with the Protestants and Catholics, and tell the people that from Scotland and England how you think and what we're trying to do in Northern Ireland?
Well, for the last 20 years we were supposed to change how the society worked in this country. In order to do that, we needed to change ourselves. But unfortunately, with 40 years of trauma that was imposed upon us, it's hard for people to get themselves out of that mindset and of hatred and anguish for someone that's the same colour, the same blood, the same beliefs, the same faith. the simple thing that separates us here in this country is the two-party system.
Yep.
This tit-for-tat system that has been ongoing forever. To me, all I've seen in politics lately is a complete polar flip where they've switched from unionist dictators to Republican dictators.
Yeah.
Or nationalists, whichever they like refer to them as.
Yeah. But the thing is, the whole point of these demos, I can see personally something huge coming from these demos, not just here, but the time they rise and other demos that are coming up, and the demo that got cancelled, obviously. But the walk for Christ, was it Walk for Jesus demo? But things like that will bring Protestants and Catholics together, and I feel that we can't save our children and our cultures and our traditions unless we come together.
Well, yes, I'll get to that, but going back to your first question as to what started me coming here, a couple of years ago I remember when this protest started up and I'd come down, I'd got involved with it. I was here for about 3 weeks and then I was getting involved with other stuff, children stuff, family life and that there.
You work as well, don't you?
I work as well. I'm a working class man. I work for me, self-employed.
Yep.
This movement kept going on, and I'm back again because it's good to see that after 2 years that it is still going on. Now, I spoke to a couple of people about incident rates on the alarming rise up and down this island, but it's a pretty nice, it's a nice feeling for me, and proof of protest do actually work.
Yeah.
It's showing that these boys have been here for 2 years, and how many incident reports can we conclude off of the usual narratives that go about these days that has happened in Bangor compared to every other community?
Well, that's a very good point. That's a good point you raised. You know what I mean? We have had stuff on the outskirts like Ballyholme and all that, but there hasn't been much in Bangor, and it's the seafront. You don't realise how important it is. It's quite a big area, and yeah, that's a good point to make. Maybe these guys standing here for the last 2 years has saved a lot of people. We just don't know. We don't know. It's one of them things. We'll never know. You know what I mean? But the thing is, we'll know as we go forward. Isn't that right?
Well, to reinforce that statement, the way to go forward here is let's start making more progress with more demonstrations, more rallies. These need to be more concurrent. This protest works because it happens every week.
Yeah.
If we're going every 5-6 weeks, we're not going to make any progress. It's like taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back.
Yeah.
So, I've taken control of the Northern Ireland of a page called. Let me get this right now.
That's okay. You can come back to it.
The Great Province Wide.
Right, the Great Province Wide, it's the actual
protest.
Great Province Wide protest. I don't know if I'm much better, to be honest with you. It's a Belfast.
Let me get it through that. Right, so my wee page, folks, is called the Great Province Wide Protest NI.
Right.
It was originally aligned up with the British National Strike protest, but I've been contacted and I've been asked to take over a Northern Ireland page to help progress. But on that page, I have made some changes to the profile picture and details put on the page to suit everyone.
Yeah.
To become a neutral page. My page is not about sectarianism or bigotry or race baiting.
Yeah.
My page is strictly about ways forward and also reporting on political actions and inactions.
Yeah.
For me, people say actions speak louder than words.
Yep.
I believe the pen is mightier than the sword.
Well, actions get you to jail. In this day and age, any action at all, even a tweet or a Facebook post.
Well, actions put us in rather peculiar situations, so I prefer the term, the pen is mightier than the sword.
Yep.
Once we all start to align and understand how to challenge these politicians formally, then we can start to make progress.
So are you planning a demonstration in the city or somewhere?
Well, there's something lined up. The next date for the great national protest, let's call it, is set for the 19th of July.
19th.
So I'm putting my foot into motion to get something organised for Northern Ireland.
Right, okay. The hangover should be passed by then.
for everyone in Northern Ireland, and I know it's Christmas time for most, but you'll have a week to recover. And listen, this rally, I'm rallying up people from every religion, every race, every ethnicity. We all understand that we're living under rulers that don't represent us as a people.
100%. So it's Stephen. Like, he's a working man. Like I say, he does work hard. You know what I mean? Because I'm in touch with him, and he's always working, and he's always active. And you've got a family and a family man.
Well, I've got a fourth boy on the way in the next day or two here. Yeah, so I'm a pretty busy man. But listen, folks, I'm a working class man.
Yeah.
I'm just a normal guy that speaks for you lot who won't speak, who feel that you can't speak.
Or don't come to the demos.
Or don't come to the demos. Well, anyone that knows me, I'm all about motivation, folks. I'm all about getting you, the people, to get off your asses and do something. They may be able to say things and post things in a different way that may click something on in your heads. My mind works a lot different to a lot of others. But I stand firm in this, folks. What we have coming here is not something we can defeat while we're segregated. We need to be together for this. Our politicians and our government need to feel the full force of the people united. And I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, mate. Thank you so much. So, NI Disgruntled, what really Disgruntled one. Sorry, NI Disgruntled one on TikTok and on YouTube. And like I say, just this is what it's about. It's trying to get everybody involved and give everybody a shout out. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just Freedom Dad, just networking and getting to know people. And if I meet somebody who I see putting a lot of work in, then I'm going to interview for them. I'm going to try and pull Jim away here, because Jim's been helping us with Glenn. Jim, can I get a chat with you? Oh, thanks so much, mate. I wasn't too sure where you were going to go for it, but this is Jim. So Jim's been helping Glenn with the case. Can you just want to run by what you can say about what you think about what's happening to Glenn?
Well, my understanding would be that the British government are trying to do away with free speech. And states in the Bill of Rights, you have the right to freedom of speech, right for the freedom of religious beliefs. So if you have all these beliefs and rights under the Bill of Rights, under Magna Carta, secondary legislation in this country shouldn't even prevail, because those statutes are actually primary legislation. So for Glenn to be going through what he's going through at the moment, for me is a miscarriage of justice, because they're basically saying that he can't say this. As far as I'm aware, that he's been given case law that actually poo-poos this by Lord Justice Tracy. I can't remember the name of the other Lord Justice in the case in Northern Ireland, so I don't know where they're going with this.
So you're talking about case law, you're talking about the Constitution, the Magna Carta. We're talking about stuff that goes back to 1688, is that correct? Surely something so far back wouldn't mean anything today.
No, mate. It actually, the way it is actually worded is that the Bill of Rights, you can have your rights added to, but you can't have anything taken away. What the British government are trying to do is trying to circumvent and take things away by stealth out of the Bill of Rights without asking the people's consent. This is for the people, by the people, you know, and for me, people need to start understanding their rights. You know, all they need to do is watch the Americans. Whenever they're speaking with people, you're violating my constitutional right. You're violating, you know, my constitutional First Amendment right. You know, in this country in 1974, I believe that it was was taken out of the bar exam. So why was it taken out of the bar exam? To sort of circumvent into administrative courts.
So this is our Bill of Rights, our institution, the things that were laid down by our godfathers to protect us in the future from any badness from governments or even the royal family. It's all their protection. You're telling us that this has been taken out of our law system and basically been hidden from us.
It hasn't been taken out of our higher courts. They still have to use these laws, but they've taken them out of the administrative courts, which is the magistrates' court, and it's what I understand is Roman law. So for me personally, I would suggest that people now start going back to our forefathers. They basically had seen what was coming. There's old ancient laws we look. We spoke to yourself and others in the we'll call them movements, for want of a better word, and they're trying to stand up to tyranny, that because tyranny is going to come here.
By using the Bill of Rights and the Constitution?
Yes, we can use the Bill of Rights, Magna Carta, and different other old ancient laws, shall we say.
So you're saying we can use these to protect ourselves, and we can use these to protect ourselves in the court of law against everything, against any breach of our freedoms?
You can do, but in the magistrates' courts don't want to hear it because they don't have the jurisdiction in that court to hear a constitutional argument. That would be for the higher courts. We have a young lad coming to Northern Ireland that was tortured by the Metropolitan Police, won his case, Charlie Staple. Very brave young man to take the police on. Went into the court, the High Court himself took on, I believe it was 4 barristers, and won his case. He's now taking a private right injury claim, which is in the tort of law. To I think it's, I can never remember. I always say it's international jurisdiction, and this could be heard in Texas. So also, people, you must understand there's a thing called common law, and that's very powerful as well. Graham Moore is actually doing basically he ran in Runcorn and Halesbury in the elections, and he noticed electoral fraud going on, so he's brought these people to boot through the Constitution and through common law into court. So there's been a special court assigned, I believe it's in Runcorn or one of those districts. Unfortunately, I don't know these things because I'm not in England. And but that'll be coming in under common law.
So you're telling me it's been tried and tested and still getting tested?
Well, Graham has already tried and tested it. Graham himself is a constitutional. He doesn't like people calling him an expert, but he's 10,000 hours, so I would call him an expert.
Before going to Graham, I want to say to you, so are you a lawyer?
No, mate.
Are you just a work? Tell me, do you work?
I'm just a working man that his hobby is basically reading law to the best of my ability. I'm not a barrister. I don't give legal advice to people because I can't. I'm not a barrister. I'm not a lawyer. I haven't been through the bar library or anything like that.
You make people aware of their rights?
Well, I can make people aware of their rights. I would show them, and then I would ask them to go and read it for themselves. So they need to do this, but also people need to realise that there is a higher law again, and that's natural law, and that comes from our Lord and Saviour. So people need to understand that I'm a Christian myself. Again, I don't tell people what to do. I would try to bring them to the faith if they wanted to come to the faith, but that would be your highest, for me, your highest law. You just need to look in the Bible and it'll give you all your laws.
Yeah, I've been trying to tell these ones on my platform, but they're stubborn. I will get them. There's a couple of careful what I say with names, you know what I mean? All different names everywhere, you know what I mean? But Jim, what made you, like, you must have woke up one day and thought, I'm going to do this, or was there something that drives you, or what makes you do what you do? Like, you mustn't have that much time because you've got family, you're working, we've got all the crisis of living and everything, and we were paying the dearest for gas and electricity in the world, you know what I mean? So what drives you, mate?
What drives me is...
What got you going, started it?
What got me going was I was wrongfully accused of something, and was very fortunate to meet a chap when I was in court. I'm very privileged to meet him, and he just blew me away. And when he started explaining things to me, it was just like it opened a whole new world to me. But that doesn't mean to say that you run about being arrogant when you know these things. You just understand your rights. You know how you can deal with different situations, and basically argue your corner, because, you know, I say this.
Why help other people?
Well, you know, these things were freely given to me by the people that I met, and so freely I freely receive, so I freely give. Tells me to do that in the Bible. I don't ask for anything, don't ask for donations, don't
correct,
ask
you're
for
right, you're
anything. So I can stand on as a man of principle, because if I take money for these things, you know, firstly, it would be against the law that I'm giving someone legal advice. I just show them in the statutes and I show them in the statutes and the acts. I also show them through the Bill of Rights and what their rights are. So that's why I would sort of say to them, look, you can look at this, you can look at this, and then they can make their decision on what they want to do. If they wish to use a lawyer or a barrister, again, that would be entirely up to themselves.
Cheers, mate. So, Graham Moore, can you tell us, give any of my guys that don't know Graham Moore, the full English guys, could you tell us a wee bit about Graham Moore and what's happening in Northern Ireland with Graham?
Well, Graham's will be coming over on the 20th of June to do a seminar where I think some people, and it happened to me the last time he was here, people are convinced that the English Bill of Rights, and I do say the English Bill of Rights, and the reason why I say that...
It's a tricky one, but it's because of the name English Bill of Rights. That's what gets everybody.
Yeah, that's correct. And it did get a lot of people here.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Stevie, will you take the camera and give a break? Cheers, mate. Yeah, I must begin. Sorry, guys. Sorry about this.
We need to get
it's live.
We need a gimbal. We need a
gimbal. That's how we roll, you know. Sorry.
No, you're okay. So, Graham come over, and it is the English Bill of Rights, and the reason it's called the English Bill of Rights is because the English wrote it, and that's it. But it still gives you your inalienable rights, your constitutional rights, your common law rights.
For us in Northern Ireland.
For us in Northern Ireland.
Protestants and Catholics.
Protestants and Catholics, yes. Even if you look at America, for example.
There's a bit in it that says that it's Protestants, it was specifically Protestants. What?
It was for the Protestant faith because of King James. King James was being a tyrant towards the people and taking his orders from the Pope in Rome, which he shouldn't have been doing. He should have been more concentrated on his people in England at that time. Yep. Now, England's over 1,000 years old, so... they have the right to basically say they have the blueprint on the English Bill of Rights. So for me, I can say the Bill of Rights, or whatever anybody wants to say. You know what I mean? Because in America they have the American, Bill of Rights. Yeah. That was what was done by Washington. So. At the end of the day, what they can basically do is they can say, this is the American, but it's all been taken from common law, Bill of Rights in England, and all the stuff from England.
So the American Constitution has been copied from ours?
It's been basically based on the English Constitution, with slight variations on when they say, their First Amendment. Well, that could be maybe, I don't know the American Constitution the way it's set out.
It means a lot, but it means a lot today. So surely our Constitution should mean a lot to us if the American Constitution. We're all a modern Western world, are we not?
Yes. Well, if you look at Donald Trump and everyone that has actually come in to his office, even the guys in the FBI or whatever else have been sworn in. The Attorney General, Bundy, an absolute stalwart of a woman. You know what I mean? Everything she says is Constitution, and they work on the American Constitution. Yeah. So for me, the people in America understand it. In Northern Ireland and in England, the British have circumvented the Constitution and removed things illegally from the Constitution or tried to hide it within statutes. So people just need to be aware of it and understand it. And for me, the people on the island at the moment have an absolute fantastic opportunity on the 28th of June. Coming to it, number one, Graham Moore's going to be over and explain it. There's going to be a Q&A after it.
Where is it going to be?
It's in Mahara Community Centre. I'm not from that part of the world, so I would need to look up the dates and the full address.
yeah.
I think it's 111 Macara Road.
I'll be putting all the details out anyway, guys. If anybody from Northern Ireland's interested in going, I'll be putting up on TikTok and I'll be putting up on that. And if you need to get in touch with me, you all know how to get in touch with me. Email me or drop me a message in X if you want to go. So Graham Muir's coming over. What date again, do you know?
He's coming over. The seminar will be run on the 28th. Also, we'll have another guest. We have 2 guest speakers actually. We have Charlie Staple. We're privileged to have Charlie because Charlie's fighting a big legal battle at the moment with the help of Graham with the Constitution. He's taking a private right injury claim under it's actually under old tort law. So this means that under torture, which is the Criminal Justice Act 1988, section 134. So that would mean if these constables can basically lose their houses, and when they're taken into the criminal court, they could be put in jail for a minimum of life imprisonment for torture.
Well, that's the Constitution, isn't it?
That's the Constitution, as Graham would say, the Constitution is the solution.
Well, you have heard it here first in Northern Ireland, you know. But no, the thing, so it's a ticketed event. How much is it for a ticket, mate?
Well, it's £20, but I believe we've set up a ticket, like a ticket booth type thing. It's another person that actually runs that, and I think it's going to work out at $22.38. But it's an all-day event, so we have Graham, which is the main speaker. We have Charlie, and he's going to tell his story, how he done the things, how he took on. I think it was either 3 or 4 barristers. I'm willing to be corrected by Graham or Charlie, and one in the High Court. Then we have a guy from good Northern Ireland is going to talk about the 5G and Wi-Fi and the dangers and
careful, we're on a live, so you got to be careful, YouTube. Got to tiptoe around these issues, you know what I mean? Don't want to be called for entertainment and educational purposes only, guys. They're just the opinions of a couple of guys in Northern Ireland, working class guys, standing, I think, on a drain, a sewage drain.
yeah, exactly. But you know, the guy's going to be talking on that, and it's going to be well worth it. The guy has spent a lot of time, an awful lot of his own money researching this, bringing other people in. It cost himself an absolute fortune buying the equipment and everything else.
So £22 for a ticket. So how many tickets is there, mate?
There will be 200. That's why we've had to go to Maghera, because some venues, when you tell them what you're going to do, don't want to hold it. And that alone is unconstitutional. You know, Graham is, I believe, Graham is in. Well, I can't say too much, but
definitely. Definitely. But listen, I have sprung this. Please believe me, I do not set nothing up. I never prompt anybody comes under my camera. I just ask them to come on and we just talk. And that's how we roll. That's real journalism, I think. That's real citizen journalism. There's you're not going to get that in the BBC or Sky News. And I'm not saying I'm anything special. What I'm trying to say is anybody can do this. Anybody. I want to see younger ones. There's really clever young guys and girls out there that I see popping up in Scotland and England. We've got them in Northern Ireland, and 20s, 30s. You know, that's what we need. Fresh young faces that can do exactly what I'm doing, so I can sit back and put my feet up. You know, and I don't think we're going to be doing that anytime soon, Jim. No, I mean,
no, I don't think we'll be doing that.
So, but before you go, what do you think of the current situation? Because we're outside a hotel right now. What do you think of the current situation of illegal, irregular immigration of young fighting age men?
Well,
as a Christian, it's difficult. I'm a Christian as well, you know, it is difficult.
For me, you know, the Lord tells us to love our enemies, and if they haven't got a coat, you know, well, we give them a shirt as well. So I can understand that, but for me also, if they want to come here illegally, I've no problem with anyone coming here to escape a war-torn country. Can I just
say? So I think it was Yvette Cooper, or I can't mind who it was. One of the Labour ones. I can picture. She said that day, or was it yesterday? She said that the people in the hotels aren't illegal because they're going through the system. You get me? So they're not actually citizens yet, but they're going through the system to be citizens. How does that make you feel? That these men are coming in irregular. It's irregular immigration. We're not calling it illegal just to keep everything right. It's irregular. What do you think? What do you see? What's going on right now? England.
Well, if I was to go to Dubai and I had no passport, I don't think I would be allowed off the. Well, I would be quickly turned around and put back on the next plane, or boat, or whatever it would be. My main worry is, what is actually happening, and Again, I'm just speaking as a grandfather here, and as a father of two, lucky enough, two sons.
A concerned parent.
That's it, grandparent as well. And I'm worried about the young ladies. I'm also worried about young men that I have heard that young men have been
abused.
Yes.
Yep.
And again, YouTube.
Yeah.
So and the young ladies, I believe there was a young lady, 21. I heard today, but I think it had happened a while back, where she staggered into a bar, emaciated, and just totally dishevelled. And I believe she came, I think it was 50 or 60 miles away from where she lived, but she was in one of these, again, the speculation, and this is just my speculation.
This is so difficult, guys. You do not know how hard it is for us just to be honest, just to tell you how it is. You know what I mean? Like for today, right? There's a guy, I don't know when it was that, Stevie, the guy in East Belfast, and the guys got him and waited for the police to come, and he had a big knife. You know what I mean? And it was what was it? What nationality was he? Yeah, was he Afghanistani? We think he was Afghanistani. We're not 100% sure. But this is what they said in court today. Belfast, man. Look in the papers, Belfast, man.
Can I just interject? Can I just interject and say this is how the media like to play on our words, folks. They will put out the article and call him a Belfast man, but really that article should have read a man in Belfast has been charged with X, Y, Z. So just a wee bit of info. The media is always manipulating your thought processes.
So, Stevie, before you go, why do you think that is? Why are we not being told straight that, yeah, we've got a problem with these guys coming in. Yes, we've got a problem that they seem to attack our young girls and our women, and the crime rate goes up exponentially. And it's not just Muslims. It's not just Pakistani men, Afghanistani men. It's off the scale, so it is. We're being watched and filmed by the police. Do you want to show them? They're never far. They're never far. They've probably got one of them directional mics, you know what I mean? Or they're probably watching it live.
Trying to figure out
Headquarters will be watching it live, and they want eyes on, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. We've got a good relationship. Nothing wrong with the PSNI. We're not like that, you know what I mean? We expect the PSNI to do the work. But still, what is going on? Jim, I'm going to ask you this. Why are the government playing the cards that they're playing and silencing people and playing with all these words and bringing in Islamophobia laws? And we've seen blasphemy things with that guy getting found guilty for the burning the Quran. What's going on with our government? What do you think, as a working class man, as family, a grandfather and father?
I believe that they're flooding the country because the mass immigration that's actually here is an agenda by the globalists, by the unelected globalists in Davos. And unfortunately, Keir Starmer himself was asked a question, I believe, on one of the newses. Which country would you rather be in or support, Britain or Davos?
Yeah,
and he said Davos.
Yeah.
That to me is quite scary, but also for me as well, I think that we all need to come together as a brotherhood of nations, and that's just how I see things. The Catholics need to come together with the Protestants, and we all need to stand together, guys. Yeah. Because if we're all if we all stand up, these people are very few. I think there's something like 300, maybe I'm guessing here 400. I'm not really into politics much. Say 400 politicians in Westminster. Well, for me, my grandfather always said, well, that's like the tail wagging the dog. Yeah. Because there's just this number of people, and then if you look at how many people alone are in England, I think it's 60 million. Yeah. How can these people dictate what is going on to the rest of the population? And these people are voted in, so they're meant to be the representatives for the people. And they're not doing that. They're basically doing what they want on their agenda. So they've done a referendum, I believe, in England, asking, are you English, British, or other? And it's when I spoke to people that I know in England, they were saying that they had certain areas were all sort of saying, like 65% or whatever it was English. So then when you looked at that, all the immigrants were put into that area.
Yeah.
So things like that are a bit strange.
So Stevie, what do you think the government's end game is with all this?
It's just a globalist takeover, isn't it? You know what I mean? I remember talking for many years about certain plays that they roll out on us people are a means to an end, what some might refer to as a gain of function method.
Yeah, but the price of all the children, we know there's hundreds of thousands of children that been, right? And we know it's the grooming gangs and all that, but we know there's a lot more. The grooming gangs is a small part. The actual sexual offences in England by foreign nationals, I don't even think Pakistani men are on that list, guys, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So that speaks volumes. I think I'm not going to say any. Afghanistan's on the list. There's loads of African. I think I'm not too sure like what one is. I don't want to say it. Nigeria or Kenya, what's one of them countries? I'm not 100% sure, but it's quite phenomenal. You know what I mean? So. Do you think, at the expense of all these children, the hundreds of thousands, maybe people saying the millions that have been affected by people coming into the country, that are most likely still in the country, do you think it's at the cost of that? Or do you not think they realise what was happening?
Well, I think a lot of it's just to cover up what has been allowed to happen. It's been going on for a lot longer than 30 years, not just this Labour government or the Tories. It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Everything that I see going on now is taking people away from the idea of an inquiry into those gangs. I believe they've been operating here in Northern Ireland and Ireland for a long time too. I mean, these kids that go missing for 2 or 3 days with no background story as to what they've done, where they were. Yeah. To me, that can be signs of a child that wants to hide the situation that they were placed in. Yeah. And to me, that's a sign of these gangs that have been here for quite a while too. Yeah. Now, I've been following this situation with how the justice system has been treating certain people that behave in those ways, and they're protecting the people that abuse our children.
Yeah. So but just as well, in Northern Ireland, we've got experience of this kind of thing, right? We've had Kincora, and we've had, lots of stories we could go on about with priests and ministers and people in positions where they were looking after vulnerable children, and there was wide-scale abuse, right into the 50s, 60s. We grew up with it, all the stories in the children's homes and all that. You know what I mean? So we have a bit of experience of this. We understand it's not just foreigners that are coming into the country and doing these things, but what we're trying to say, it's phenomenal, the scale of amount of foreigners that are coming in to the percentage that's in the country is off the scale. And the government like to say, there's more white English, British sex offenders than there is foreigners. That's because it's a white, British, English country. You know what I mean? It's like we're all stupid. What's that about?
Well, I mean, over the last, I would say, 4 years alone, we've went from a net migrant rise, which has quadrupled their net gross loss economically. Yeah. Where we have labour out pushing, we're making these deals, making that deals. All your hard-earned taxes are funding the very people.
Hi, Bobby. Do you want to get interviewed? Sorry.
The very people that's going to take over us, folks. That's how I see it. We have a Muslim Brotherhood that's been operating in this country for easy 2 decades now. And make no mistake, the Good Friday Agreement wasn't just to bring peace about for us over all the last traumatic 40 years of tyranny instilled upon us. It stipulates in a certain section in the Good Friday Agreement for a case for multiculturalism to be happening in these lands. To me, the Good Friday Agreement was just another null and void piece of paper that was never consented to. And as Jim's been giving us a good conversation here on with the Constitution, these were the founding documents that we were to live by to give us our morals. What has happened now? We have had sinister men from sinister groups or brotherhoods, some may call, that have come in and imposed their man-made common law. There's a difference between our understanding of common law and man-made common law. They've come in and confused everything to do with the legal system, folks. And everything that Jim says here, you need to understand, nothing beats a corrupt system like formal documentation. Everything must be recorded.
And peaceful protest. And peaceful protest. So
Just make one.
yeah,
more
of course you
point.
can. Of course you can.
My brother here was saying about a tribunal. Don't waste your time in tribunals, because the simple reason is these people don't have to turn up at tribunals.
Yeah.
So if there's people have said that we need certain members from the Labour government or whatever, because we know that they were the ones through Tony Blair were covering all this up, with the Scottish Prime Minister at the time, I can't remember. Gordon Brown. He acquiesced and omitted stuff out of documents and stuff. So for you, legally, as far as
Do we need to say allegedly?
Allegedly, yeah. Okay. You can't say, well, no.
If you don't believe. You only say allegedly if you don't believe what they're saying and know it to be true.
No, legally for YouTube, you know.
So for me personally, tribunals are a waste of the taxpayers' money, for one, because it's going to cost thousands of pounds, and the only ones that are going to do anything is the barristers and the lawyers. They're going to absolutely coin it in. We've seen that with the Bloody Sunday inquiry. The barristers were making millions out of this, of the taxpayer, you know, off the like of all these men here standing here, off their backs. So for me personally, tribunals won't work, because these people don't need to turn up to them. So they need to be brought in to court. And also what people need to understand is with the Criminal Justice Act, and it's been brought in by the British government with, I believe, Queen Elizabeth's signature, that if they are found, any the police or any politician is found guilty of torture, the immigrants will go home tomorrow, because they cannot come to a country or be the sanctions of a country that have tortured their own people. Now,
so could you emphasise on the torture of their own people?
Well, if you look at the what's happened in England alone
with the grooming gangs.
With the grooming gangs,
so
yes.
That's torturing our own people. That's...
Because I know I can't say what I want to say.
Let's put it like this: if our government allow these men to come into our country and these men commit horrendous crimes against our children, then are they not applicable?
Well, did it not say in England that was their these young white women, that was their sexual preference? Well, I don't think it is their sexual preference to have their tongues.
Careful.
Whoa.
Tongue-tied, yeah. So
not being able to say anything, or saying that the girls were drunk and the police handing them straight back over to the abusers,
and the fathers being arrested when they go to get the girls out of the houses.
Yep.
And social workers going to the weddings of 15-year-old children. It's out there, and that concerns us, and what we see with Ireland as well. So this is what's going on. What do you think? I'll ask Stevie first. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen to England? What do you think the end game is for England?
It depends whose end game we're talking about.
The people of England's end game, the government's end game. How is it going to fare? How are England going to be able to get out of this situation they're in, do you think? Or do you think the game's a bogey?
I think they lost control 5 years ago when they started this mass importations into the country. They lost control then. But I also believe that a lot of people like me and my brother here, Jim, are catching on to their fallacies in their legal system. And they realise that people like us are going to start accumulating to call them out, and maybe start pushing for arrests of these corrupt agents.
What about Ireland?
Well, Ireland needs to get on tail with us, because this is applicable to every Commonwealth country on the earth. If you're a Commonwealth country, you're being ruled by traitors and treasonists.
Okay. And Jim, what do you think the end game for England? Do you think they can save themselves? Do you think the game's a bogey?
I believe that yes, they can get themselves out of this, but they need to go back to their English identity and go back to their shires and counties rather than.
Can I just interject? Okay, so what if that shire is now, as we see with quite a lot of cities, Oldham, Wrexham, Rotherham, Birmingham, Luton. So what if them shires are controlled by other people that aren't English?
Well, in the Bill of Rights, it actually says, I think now.
Well, they have they have English citizenship, so we'll call them second generation Pakistani or Afghanistani men for right.
Okay, so they can hold power. They can keep or have jobs as policemen, judges, and that, but they must follow the English ethos and the English Bill of Rights. They can't go off and have Sharia laws, the Jewish courts, and have their Sharia courts. So they must
bring the age of consent down, and if the laws are not the face coverings and all that, then they would have to abide.
No, they have to abide by the law. If I go to, if I say, for example, if I go to Dubai, well, I can't walk down the street having a pint of beer, and I don't drink anyway. But if I wanted to have a pint of beer, I believe you're not allowed to chew chewing gum walking down the street. Now, could you imagine that happening here with these, liberal left, we'll call them, and you can't chew chewing gum, you can't have a pint outside a bar, you can't do this and you can't do that, or you would be put in jail. And in Dubai, people I know that have family live in Dubai, so are out quite often, they actually have to go to certain areas to have a drink if they want. So these people need to wake up, smell the coffee, and realise.
So each borough could govern themselves above.
Yeah. So, for example, so if you had an independent Northern Ireland, it would basically be run like the Isle of Man. So you would have, you could have all your regions,
counties,
County Down, County Armagh, County Fermanagh, all those counties would, and then you have one central. Parliament building. You could have, and Belfast City Hall is an absolute beautiful, bar one thing that I would have removed pretty sharpish would be that new window that was put in by was he
Lord Mayor?
Yes, he was the Lord Mayor, but what was it? The Alliance Lord Mayor, was it?
Lord Mayor.
So,
we're getting a bit personal now,
Oh, no, there's no personal there. I'm a Christian and I don't believe in what he...
Your personal feelings.
But my personal belief would be, and before we lose our free speech, which they're pushing for. So, for me, I would just remove that, but it is an absolute stunning building, and I think that would be a fantastic place. With all that's went on in Stormont building, I would just make that a big white elephant, because the politicians up there have just sold the people down the river, and they don't care what happens to them. They say we're for they're not living in the areas, they're living in their lovely houses, not living in the working areas. So if they lived in the working areas, they would understand the working man, because it's easy for someone to say, I listen, I don't know how Elon Musk lives. I don't understand how Donald Trump lives, and I can't have an opinion on that. And these people are saying, oh well, we came from these areas, and listen, if these people come from these areas, pull their socks up and get good jobs, brilliant. Please don't forget where you came from and the people you did come from.
That's the problem. The people running our country are private school boys. We know where Stormer comes from. We know what Stormer's up to, you know what I mean? And this is because of, I honestly believe, because of private school boys, all boys schools. We've heard the stories. I've read a few books in the jail that touched on it. There's no getting away from it. You know what I mean? That has got something to do with it.
Well, also, But what I want to see is, I want to see the Catholics and the Protestants coming together. That's bottom line, because
yeah, definitely.
we've been separated for so long.
And why do you think that was?
Well, I know what it was, but I don't want to say on YouTube. It gets taken down.
Or you get me shot.
Yeah.
So somebody could draw an invisible line. So someone could draw an invisible line on the island and convince you it was real.
See, we're all indigenous people of this island, right? And if the people in the Irish Republic wish to have an Irish Republic, or call it ERA, whatever they want to call it, that's entirely up to them. The Northern Irish people, if they want to call it an independent Ulster, an independent Northern Ireland, I don't care, as long as it's independent and we can all get on, because we can trade with each other. We can have a brotherhood of nations with England, Scotland, Wales. So we can do this. People have said to me that this island's too small. We have people here on this island that companies come to.
Yeah.
To speak to these people. So we're not a stupid race of people. So we could run our own country ourselves if you have the right men at the helm, that have the interest of the people of their island. And when I speak of loyalism, this also is for my Catholic brothers and sisters. When I speak of loyalism, I'm speaking of their country, their constitution, and their people.
Yeah.
I just listen. We've
nationalism, isn't it?
we've just done all these things about our flags, and for me, it's colours, bro.
Yeah.
It's just colours,
Yeah.
and we all need to come together, because a flag flying above a building doesn't put a loaf of bread on the table.
Yeah.
And fighting each other doesn't put money in your pocket to feed your family or heat your family.
So it's actually perfect for the government the way they've got us. But we're getting, that's the police slowing right down. I think they want us to go, because there's a time limit.
Because Catholic Protestant, there's a threat coming that's a threat to all of us. It doesn't choose which side it attacks.
That's right. It is right. It is.
The protests ended.
I know.
We're just standing.
Yeah. We're freedom of speech, but they're not gonna.
That's not speech. Freedom to travel.
Freedom to assemble. But no, I don't want to annoy the PSNI. They've all got guns.
Right together and freedom of assembly.
At the end of the day,
Unalienable rights.
so the thing about it is, we must all remember too, again I say this, the PSNI live within the community, and they have to understand what's going on too, because maybe someday it's going to happen to maybe one of their family.
Yeah.
And these politicians are the same. I pray to God that nothing happens. I would just love it all to go back and we could all just get on with one another. But I don't want to see anybody hurt. I don't want to see anybody killed. I don't want to go back to what they called is the Troubles.
Yeah.
I call it a British psyop.
Yeah.
To divide the people. And now the people are coming together. These oligarchs and these elites are worried.
Yeah, I've said that. Yeah, they are worried. I've noticed that. There's a couple of things that's been happening around us and things that's been going on. Even the thing with Glen Keane, you know what I mean? We believe it's being done on purpose, because they can see what's happening with Lindsay and Orla and all these guys. And there's loads of other guys you'll get to meet. It's a miserable night. There's not many people out tonight. And it's just to get a chat with each other anyway. So listen, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I just wanted to bring this to you because I haven't spoken to you for a while. I will come back tomorrow with some good videos coming over the weekend, and I'm going to be away on Sunday. Can't say too much, but it's all going to be good, and I will have some recordings for you. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jim. And I'm Freedom Dad outside the Marina Court Hotel in Bangor. God bless. Get it? Good man. Thank you, buddy. Happy days.